Well, and the good news is that we don't control the news. Because if we did, then I'd be responsible for it. So, but we started last week a new series it's called The Dictionary. And this week we'll be doing the word wisdom. But first, it's our episode of Shocked.
Up on what ground?
I'm shocked to find that gambling is going on in here.
Okay.
You're winning, sir.
Oh, thank you very much. Everybody out.
These are things to be shocked about that happened this week. Are you ready to be shocked?
Yeah.
Are you ready? Okay, the first one. Her name is Jamie Petrone. I'm shocked. She was found guilty of like 2 counts. She pleaded 2 counts and one of fraud because she was found guilty of stealing about $40 million worth of electronics from Yale University. She stole this and boosted it, resold it, and she was found $40 million. I mean, was nobody watching? And this one, anybody like peanut butter? Yes. You like peanut butter? Anybody look Jiffy? Yes. There's a recall. I don't know if you saw about over 160,000 pounds of peanut butter have been recalled of Skippy because when the machine that it was being processed in, just a little, just a little bit, these little pieces of metal were in it, and so that was one. And the final shocking. Anybody here from Canada? Anybody here from Canada? Good, we can talk. Okay, from Canada. Here there was a guy, his name is Richard Valerius, and he stole $14 million worth of maple syrup. How do you do that? How do you steal $14 million worth of syrup? That's a lot of Mrs. Butterworths. I mean, do they, and how do you get it out of there? Is it one of these like gasoline trucks full, like the ones you see going down the road that got orange juice in it? And he said, all right, give me your maple syrup or your life. I mean, what do they do? I just don't get it. But again, these are shocking things. So one of the things I've asked for, not shocking, but I need your help, is we've got this list of words that we're going to be doing. And if there are here are the ones I sort of have teed up. This week we're doing wisdom. Next week we'll do fear of the Lord. But if somebody suggested, what does the word Christian mean? That was a great idea. But if you have any words that you'd like to have, you got them now, can think about it, or email me, call me, saying, here's a word. You'll see up there we're going to do predestination. Okay, that always gets the juices flowing. We'll do spiritual gifts, things that are not, and we will always do them in loving ways because these are things that are supposed to draw us together, not split us apart. So if you have any words, ideas now, or email them to me, call me, text me, you can even put it in the mail. I receive mail. So we're going to be doing wisdom today. What is wisdom? What is it? We hear it, but what is it? This is where you talk, by the way, if there was any question about that.
What we learn from experience.
What we learn from experience. Rich?
It is your ability to retain lessons learned.
Lessons learned. Okay, I like that. Someone else. Now, there's women in here. You guys got lots of wisdom, maybe more than the men do. So I want to hear from you, too. Wisdom. Yeah, Bill.
To me, wisdom means something that you know that you should probably pass it on to someone who does not know.
Okay, the idea of to pass on. I like that. What else?
Gift from God.
A gift from God. Wisdom, what else?
Wisdom is not necessarily intelligence.
Not necessarily intelligence. You notice, I don't get this. Only men are talking. What's up with that? I mean, Oprah Winfrey, when she went to Baltimore, was on a show called People Are Talking. And so, anyone else? Yeah. Knowing, so you're talking to me, right? Knowing when to speak and when not. Bill's always good for a one-liner. Anyone else? Wisdom. Yes, Mary.
I think it's wisdom is something that we gain when we gain knowledge and understanding of something, and which brings us wisdom.
Gain wisdom and gain understanding, experience. Yes, Donna. Oh, there's a question. The difference between knowledge and wisdom. We'll be going through this. These are great points. Did you want to say something, Mary? Go ahead.
I think that just goes with the knowledge and understanding goes when we know we have been given a knowledge about something.
Mhm.
It doesn't necessarily mean that we have the wisdom to exercise it. That's why we need the understanding in order to gain understanding in order to receive the wisdom.
Okay, thank you. Let me give you an example. Have you ever gone on to Amazon and bought something? Or have you ever gone on to Google search and searched for something? Have you ever done any of those things? And then, did you ever notice that you start to get these ads that are somehow related to what you just did, right? That's knowledge, okay? That's knowledge. They're taking something that happened and then they're saying, we're going to do something based on that. Evidence. It says, you know, I was doing, I bought this week, boy, what didn't I buy? You know, you go on Amazon and I buy these glasses, okay? These are, you know, reading glasses from Amazon. Guess what? My newspapers that I get digitally delivered have ads for, guess what? Just guess what? Reading glasses. Yeah. You know, it's just, and they just, and it's like, you know what? I already bought it. I bought the glasses, but they still keep sending, like I'm breaking these things. You know, they can't figure out to stop. That's knowledge. Wisdom is something else. And because I'm in front, I get to write the definitions. No, that's not true. This is a definition that I'd like to share with you and we can talk about. It has the idea of skill and art. It's having cleverness. It's sound judgment. It's practical wisdom. It's practical knowledge. It says life works like this normally, and therefore I'm going to think and act in accordance or in line with how it works. It's the idea of mastery. I was watching someone on a news program, and they were talking about how they took up the practice of working with glass. You know, they take liquid glass and they blow it, you know. It's one thing to know it in your head, you know, don't touch it. There's an idea, right? But then there's the wisdom, which is the skill that says how to work with the glass in order to create something. Wisdom says how the world normally works, and I align myself, I make decisions based on that. Or I make decisions not to do things based on that. There is a normal, you've heard me, this flow to the universe. It has the grain of the universe. We all have clothing on. Thank you. But we all have clothing on, and what is this? It's fabric. The fabric has a weave to it, doesn't it? And if you want to, when Marianne makes clothing, which is like 5,000 feet above my head, as far as understanding, she has the wisdom to know, like I'm like, okay, there's a pattern. There's the cloth. You throw it down and you start cutting. No. You got to put the pattern, align it with the direction of the thread. Because if you don't, it falls apart. You do things in wisdom says, I work, I live, I make choices and decisions based on the way things are, the way God has made them. Billy Beane did this when he took over the Oakland A's. They were the last place team. And he found out that trying to do the same thing over and over again, they were just going to lose. So he got together with his leadership team, and they talked about they've just lost their best player. What are they going to do? This is a scene from the movie Moneyball.
We're trying to solve the problem here, Billy.
Not like this, you're not. You're not even looking at the problem.
We're very aware of the problem. I mean,
Okay, good. What's the problem?
look, Billy, we all understand what the problem is. We have to
Okay,
replace...
good. What's the problem?
The problem is we have to replace 3 key players in our
No.
lineup.
What's the problem?
Same as it's ever been. We've got to replace these guys with what we have existing.
No. What's the problem, Barry?
We need 38 home runs, 120 RBIs, and 47 doubles to replace.
The problem we're trying to solve is that there are rich teams and there are poor teams. Then there's 50 feet of crap. And then there's us. It's an unfair game. And now we've been gutted, like organ donors for the rich. Boston's taking our kidneys, Yankees taking our heart, and you guys are sitting around talking the same old good body nonsense like we're selling jeans, like we're looking for Fabio. We got to think differently.
He comes to the point and says, you know, if we keep doing things the same way, what's going to happen? Same results, right? You know, what is the great quote? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over and expecting what? Different results. That's not wise. There is a way to approach life that says it works this way, so in other words, if it works this way, then I have to align myself and my choices. This same thing happened in, are you ready for it? James Bond movie. In the movie, at the end of the movie Goldfinger, remember, he's in Fort Knox and there's a nuclear bomb and he has to defuse it. And how much experience does he have for defusing a nuclear bomb? None. So what does he do?
What kept you?
He had no idea what he was facing, did he? And you know, you see all these things going on and the lights flashing and you think, what do I do? How many times in life do we get distracted by the spinning wheels and the flashing lights of whatever is popular and get our attention distracted from what is real, the true reality? And that's where wisdom comes in. Wisdom expresses God's highest. It's the clearest. It's the most noble. Wisdom comes not from what we see, not from what we can experiment with, but wisdom comes from God. It is not based on our observations. You know, it is given, it is talked, wisdom is said that God has it and good men, and we strive towards it. It's mental and emotional excellence that we choose the highest, and that highest isn't what's trending on the internet. It's not how many likes or eyeballs are looking at a video segment. It is based on who God is. And Solomon, perhaps the wisest guy, and I don't mean that from my mother's Italian side, the Cosa Nostra, the wise guys. No, this Solomon was a true wise man. And he said that he starts off with these proverbs for gaining wisdom and instruction, for understanding words of insight. And the idea of wisdom is what is truly real. Things that you can base your life on, not the shifting sand of opinion, but what was wise 500 years ago, is that still wise? No, it is. Wisdom, there are certain truths that say, these don't move. There are things about the universe that say, this doesn't change. God is wisdom. Does he change? No. He is the same. What does it say? He is the same when? Yesterday, today, and forever. He doesn't change. It's the solid. It's an opinion based on sound reasoning. It's the opposite of what Ephesians 4:14 says, that says that we not be carried about by every wind of doctrine. Have you ever heard that phrase? Not to be carried about by wind of doctrine. What does it mean to be moved or carried by the wind? Changed? I'm sorry? Blown around? You don't have an anchor. If you got an anchor, yeah, the wind can come, but you're not going to move. You are anchored. Very good. Andy Stanley tells a story about he and his wife were rented a boat with another couple. They went on vacation, and they had a crew. They had a crew, the captain, because they don't know what sailing is. They live in Atlanta. Anyway, so they're going through the Caribbean, and they're having a great time. The captain gets quiet. The captain then goes down in the bottom of the boat, starts bringing out rope. And he gets in the dinghy and goes out to an island and he starts tying ropes to the trees. And he brings those ropes back and lashes them to the deck, to the boat. He then goes out the front of the boat, does the same thing with the front, lashes it and ties it down. He then goes off of each side, tying the boat to these trees. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. But the weather report said that a storm was coming, and an anchor wasn't going to be enough. So he wisely lashed the boat, and they survived the storm. And he shows pictures of these other boats that are sunk because they weren't tied to something that wasn't going to move. That is wisdom. We tie ourselves to the truth. And we say, come hell or high water, we're going to hold fast to that. We're not going to be moved. We're not going to be blown around. Goes on to say that the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. We're not going to talk about fear of the Lord this week, but it's the beginning of wisdom. What do you think the phrase beginning of wisdom is? You're learning. What else could it be? A starting point. A source. How about you drive a stake into the ground? and you say, that stake's not going to move, and I'm going to stay firmly attached to it. The beginning of wisdom is the foundation. It's where we start. We drive a nail, we drive a stake, we pour a foundation and say, that's the truth of God, and I'm not going to be moved. And we build everything on it. Remember what Jesus said. There were two guys. One of them built their house upon the sand. And what happened? A storm came up, knocked it off its foundation, and it was destroyed. But then there was another guy right next door. He built a foundation and built his house on the foundation that wouldn't move. And then the winds came and the water came, but his house stayed. That's the beginning of wisdom. So where does wisdom come from? Job, if you are interested in wisdom, read, I beg you, read Job 28. It is a marvelous description of wisdom. And part of what he says is, Job says, where then does wisdom come from? Where does understanding dwell? It is hidden from the eyes of every living thing. It's concealed even from the birds of the sky. So wisdom is hidden. It's hidden. Remember, I couldn't find this? Why not? It was hidden. It wasn't where it was supposed to be. I wonder who moved it. It was me. I did that. Did you ever lose a cell phone? Ever lose your keys? Ever lose a child? We did. Twice. But that's okay. We found them. The hidden things. Wisdom is hidden. You're not going to find it on the ground. It's hidden. It's not of this world. And even, it says, even the birds of the sky don't see it. And I thought, that's an interesting phrase. I wonder what it means. Here's a little video about what it means. Now, did you see what it was going after? I didn't, and I've looked at this thing 10 times. But could the bird find it? Yes. Yeah, why? They've got incredible eyesight. And yet, even though these hawks, these birds have just incredible eyesight, they can't see wisdom either. Nothing of this world is going to find it. We have to go outside of this world to find wisdom. And that, now, how do you and I find information from outside this world? Think about this for a moment. How can you do that?
Outside this world?
Yes.
With brain.
Okay, but your brain's inside this world, right? We need information that has to come from outside. We need God to reveal it to us. We can't go up to him. He has to come down to us. And we can't find it because it's otherworldly. And the only things that we've got, our hands, our eyes, our ears, our minds, are locked in this world. So we can't. We need someone or something from the outside, and that's God. We have to look to God through who he is expressed in his word and through Jesus. That's the only way to find wisdom. Paul says, no eye, because we find this out. No eye has seen, right? No ear has heard No mind has imagined what God has prepared for those who love him. We can't figure out the love of God through our heads, can we? We can't go digging around for it and find it. We can't go walking for it. We can't even imagine it. God had to come and, in the words of Ricky Ricardo, "Splain it, Lucy," right? You want to find out about Henry Ford. Let's say you want to find out something about Henry Ford. You go to your Ford dealer, and what do? You start looking at Ford motor cars. Is that going to tell you a lot about Henry Ford? Not so much. Let's say you now go to an auto museum, and there is a Model T, and you look at the Model T, and you study it, you touch it. Is that going to tell you a lot about Henry Ford? No. But then you go and read his words, his thoughts, what he wrote, what he said. Now you've got some insight into Henry Ford, because it's his thoughts, it's his words. And that's how we find wisdom. No eye has seen, no ear has heard. We're not going to find it. And an example of a wise life, Jesus talks about this woman who loses a coin. She has 10 coins. This is Luke 15. Remember, how many coins does she have? She's got 10. And how many of them does she lose? One. So what does she do? She files a claim with her insurance company. No. Good luck with that, right? No, I like the insurance industry. I worked in it. They're good guys. But what does she do? She looks. She diligently searches for it. She sweeps. She gets under the couch, behind the TV. Where was I last? That's how where was I before? I misplaced this. Same thing. She looks. Now, because the coin was lost, did its value get diminished? Did it lose any value because it was lost? It was the same. It was worth getting down and looking. And when she finds it, what does she do? She celebrates. She calls her friends. She throws a party. Maybe they had barbecue. I don't know. But, it's something of great value that had been lost is now found. God says about you and me that you are more valuable, I am more valuable than any lost coin. And he, in love and compassion and wisdom, sought us out. He's the one who came for us. It wasn't us to claw our way up to him. He came down and revealed himself. He showed who he was, what kind of God he is. He became, as George said this morning in Philippians 2, Jesus became a servant. And there was great wisdom in that. He could have come as a king. He could have came as a Caesar. He could have came as an intellect, as a guru. But how did he come? As a servant. And he didn't come to be served, but to give his life as a ransom for many. And this is wisdom. And if any of you lack wisdom, what are we to do? Ask. Now, I know that sounds very simplistic, doesn't it? Ask, right? That's what my mother said. It never hurts to ask. And I ask for a lot of things because I say, well, you told me, Mom. I said, if we lack wisdom, what are we to do? Go to Google, right? Put a question or a survey on social media, right? Call your friends over and sit them down and say, well, write it down and we're going to pick one of these, out of the pile. No, we go to the source of wisdom, that's God, and how does he give? Generously. What does it mean to be generous? Give a lot. Over and above. Many of you have kindly asked about my dad, and I told a story that we took him to my cousin's house, and we had some crab cakes brought in. I went out and ordered the crab cakes, which are not cheap, but that's okay. And, it's a celebration, 101. You got to do it. And so I go to a carry-out window, okay? I call it Pappas. If you're ever in Baltimore looking for great crab cakes, Pappas is the place. So I called Pappas and I ordered the dinners, and they say they'll be ready in 25 minutes, and my order is order number 1. I'm the first call of the day. I love being number 1. So anyway, I get there, and they get it all there. It's in these bags and the containers. It's all wrapped and all this good stuff. And they hand me the slip because I had to give them a credit card to pay for this stuff when I ordered it, but I now have to sign it. And you ever get those little slips, they sign? This one was different than the one I get from my dentist. Okay, I'm saying the dentist for you, Ben. Anyway, when I go to my dentist and I pay for the credit card, I get a slip to sign. But the slip I get from Pappas is different. You know how it's different?
Gratuity.
Tip. Oh, you are so smart. It has a place for a tip. Now, why should I tip these people, right? The only service is, hey, here it is. That's it. But I wanted to show God has been good to me, and God has been gracious and given to me. So I give a tip. I come back later because I've had the privilege of someone allowed me to use their car while I was up there. Saved me hundreds of dollars. So I said, in thanks, they're not going to accept money. I said, I would like to bring over crab cake dinner for you and for your family. Oh yeah, we'd like that. Terrific. I didn't buy them a crab cake dinner. That wasn't good enough. Because a crab cake dinner has one crab cake. I bought them each a double crab cake meal. Why? Because I'm throwing my financial weight around? No, because God has been good to me, and I want to be gracious and kind and thankful to them. They weren't expecting it, and I get this text, what are you doing giving us a double crab cake meal? I said, you all have earned it. Plus I tipped at the window again. Funny thing about that time, I picked up the crab, these 2 double meals, right? And I'm walking to my car, and there's people getting out of the car right next to me. And it's me, right? So I got to say something, right? My mother says I can get a conversation out of a brick wall. So I said, hey, you're here for the crab cakes, aren't you? And they say, yeah, aren't they great? Yeah, I got mine, and I got my Old Bay hat on. Oh, I love the hat. It's great. So we start talking about the crab cakes and steamed crabs in Baltimore. And I said, I hope you don't think I'm too forward, but can I give you a gift? Because aren't we in need of hope? They said, oh, yeah, oh, hope. So I found a copy of the book, Hope is Like Steamed Crabs. And I gave it to him. And the woman took a step back and said, "You are my blessing for the day." And I said, "I'm honored that you would say that, share this, but our ultimate hope is good, but our ultimate hope is in Jesus." And the guy said, "Amen." Because I was gracious, because I did what was wise in God's eyes. You know, human says, "Well, you might have COVID. I'm going to stay away from you." Or human says, "Oh, you're a different race, a different culture than me. I'm going to stay away from you." No. Wisdom leans out. Wisdom reaches out like God did to us, and he gave generously. But with wisdom, the question is, are there guarantees? Are there guarantees that if I do or say the wise thing, that everything's going to work out great? No. And do you know how I know this? Because I drove back from the airport. And when you drive back from the airport, you run into a backup. A backup where your road coming off the Greenway comes in to I-4. There is a backup there at 4:37 in the morning. It just is. And so just move slowly. And then comes the part. What's the part? Where you gotta merge, right? Don't you love the merge part? The merge part is where there are so many happy people, right? Everybody's rejoicing. Oh, I get to merge. No. So I'm coming up, and I decide I'm going to wait. Now, this is not the normal Chet move. The normal Chet move is to stick my nose of my car in, right? And force, now you never do this. I know nobody here would ever do this. But that's my normal thing. But I decide I'm just going to come up and I'm going to wait. And I'm going to see what happens. So I wait. This little red car goes by. Wave at him. And then a blue BMW goes by. Wave at him. The next vehicle that doesn't let me in is one of these big tractor trailer jobs, you know, that has the 18-wheelers. I can't even see the door handle on his vehicle because it's so high. I'm like the size of his tires, and he doesn't let me in. So anyway, the next person holds back and waves me in. Thank you. I then have an idea. Okay, God, I did the right thing. I did the wise thing. I did the kind thing. Now let's see what happens. Because I know, because I did the right thing, that their car's going to break down, or they're going to get stuck behind somebody, and I'm going to go fast and go forward ahead of them, right? Is that exactly what happened? No. I didn't hate them. But there is no guarantee that there is going to be an immediate response, an immediate payback. It doesn't happen this way. Yes, wisdom says this is the way the world sort of works, the way God made it, but we live in a, what kind of world? Broken world, fallen world, sinful world. Yes? Do you ever feel like that? You feel good that you did the right thing? Sometimes I do, but I'm sinful enough to admit that I'm like, did I really have to do? Did you ever obey God with like, did I really have to do that? You know. I mean, I know it's the right thing, and I'm glad I did the right thing, but it was just, I just don't have that joy down in my heart. I just don't have it. I'm sorry. Yes.
Jesus didn't have it either in the garden. He was the same thing. He knew what he had to do, but he wasn't full of joy over it.
He did the right thing for all the right reasons and experienced immediate pain. That was his payback. But he did that as a servant to give his life as a ransom for many. And then it says, you know, at the end of that passage in Philippians 2, he did this and this and this. He emptied himself. Oh, what a beautiful phrase. He emptied himself. But then God has exalted him with the name that is above every other name, so that at the name of Jesus, every knee will bow, both here, under the earth, above the earth, and every tongue will confess that he is Lord. He gave it up. He gave his life. He gave up himself. That's what a servant does, and that's exactly what he did. Oh, the depths of the riches of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable his judgments and paths beyond tracing out. Who has known the mind of the Lord, or who has been his counselor? Who has given to God that God should repay him? For from him and through him and for him are all things. To him be glory forever. Amen. God's at the top. He's beyond tracing out. He cannot be tracked down. His ideas, his thoughts, his wisdom, his love is beyond understanding. But that didn't stop him. That didn't stop him. No one can figure it out. No one can figure him out. That's why sometimes life can be painful. You ever have something painful happen to you, and then you raise your hand and say, "Excuse me, God, if you have a moment. Why did this happen?" You ever ask God the why? Elizabeth Elliot writes about something she saw that is portrayed in this video about sheep being dipped.
The sheep are driven into pens where they wait their turn. They enjoy it just about as much as we do waiting for the dentist. The water contains a strong disinfectant which gets right in and does in the insects, and that's putting it politely. Home, James. A good shake, a dry, and then they're off again.
Elizabeth Elliot writes about that she was staying at a farm in the Highlands of Wales. And she was there with a family that had lots of sheep. And it was the time of the year for them to put them through the sheep dip. Now, why did they do this? Did they think, oh, this will be fun? It's that time of year again to celebrate the sheep dip. Is that why they did it? Why did they do it? To disinfect, to clean, protect, kill the insects and parasites? Because if they didn't go through this, what is going to happen to the sheep? They are going to die. Now, these big vats of antiseptic, if they didn't put them in, the sheep literally would be eaten alive. Their fate would be sealed. And as she watched them, and did you notice what they did? They grabbed them by the ears or by the horn and plunge their heads under the water. Now, what can't you do under the water? You can't breathe. And this is a harsh chemical, so when it gets up your nose or goes in your eyes, what's going to happen? It's going to burn. It's going to hurt. Is this comfortable? No. Not at all. She says, one by one, the shepherds would seize the sheep that struggled to climb out. And if they tried to turn around, they'd drag them back. Or if they tried to get out without going under, they'd grab them and plunge them under again. As she watched, she said, the shepherds hold their ears, eyes, and nose totally submerged. She said, you know what? I kind of feel sorry for the sheep. I mean, that wasn't pleasant, was it? Scary even. And you know what the shepherds didn't do? They didn't get the sheep around and say, okay, now sheep, I'm going to explain what I'm about to do. And then went through and showed them a video or gave them a handout to say, this is what's going to happen. And oh, by the way, here is the chemical composition of the dip. And here are the 14 steps of warning that I have to tell you by the Food and Drug Administration, warning you about potential side effects. None of that happened. But the shepherds did their job. It was for their protection, for their good. They didn't sit around all day and say, hey, I can't wait to shove that head under and see them squirm. The shepherds weren't like that. The shepherds were loving. This is the nicest thing they could have done to save their life. She said about herself, she ever felt like that she was a sheep and that her shepherd was trying to kill her. Like her shepherd was holding her head under the water and she couldn't catch her breath. It stung her eyes, and you ask God for an explanation. The sheep don't get an explanation. The sheep are to follow. He is the great shepherd, she says, and we are the sheep. We can say that we understand in our mind, but when we find our heads being held under the water, the stinging liquid in our eyes and up our nose, we feel like we're going to die because he won't let us up. She says, you can trust the shepherd in the midst of pain. It will make you wiser. It will make you better. It will make you humbler. It will make you more sympathetic. It will make you better. So we need to come to the point where we say to the shepherd, go ahead. Go ahead. You know, I talk about my life a lot, and sometimes it's things that we like to laugh about, and sometimes there are these joyous victories. But have you ever asked yourself, wonder how our fearless leader did? You know who this was from Rocky and Bullwinkle. Again, long before your time, was a cartoon. And Boris and Natasha reported to Fearless Leader. That was his title. We never knew his name. He was always called Fearless Leader. So the question is, how did your fearless leader do this week? Oh boy, it was fabulous. Do you remember who this guy is? D.A. on Perry Mason. His name was Berger, Hamilton Berger, mostly played by William Talman. And when they're in the courtroom, he's always scowling at Perry Mason. And he always brings up something and says, this is Exhibit A. We want to have it marked, right? Exhibit A. Well, here's Exhibit A for me. After having this time of celebration with my dad and family, I got to fly back. And part of the joy of flying back is boarding airplanes. Oh, what a joy. Praise God from whom all boardings flow. And part of the boarding is the fact that I'm bringing back fresh crab meat. Okay. Ooh, that's right. I'm no dummy. So I got the gel pack and I got the insulated bag and I check it. I go through security and everything's fine. And I come onto the airplane and I'm number A30. And so I'm walking in and the flight, and I'm always friendly with the flight attendants because they got a tough job. And I've had a tough week, and I'm thinking this may be the last time I see and talk with my dad. He's not dying, but he's 101, right? The odds are not in his favor. And so I've got this suitcase that I bought, and it's on wheels, and it's got a little thing, and I'm wheeling it up, and she smiles, "Hi, how you doing?" And she looks down at my suitcase and says, "Did anybody see that up front?" I said, "Yeah, I walked right by. Yeah, I've had it on hundreds, did I say hundreds? Hundreds of Southwest flights, and nobody has ever questioned it." Well, she says, "Well, this flight is full, and it won't go in straight. You got it." I said, "Yeah, I know. I put it side to side." I'm going to have to take that from you and check it. I was not singing Gloria in Excelsis Deo when I heard that. I was like, I'm sorry. No one, I'm not, and I went like this. I said, I am not trying to give you trouble. I am not giving you a hard time. I'm just telling you, I've been on lots and lots and lots of flights, and no one has ever said they have to take it. And she said, I'm taking it. I'm going to check it. It'll be under the plane. You're taking my crab meat. You're taking the ginormous shrimp that I bought for all of this for my wife. How dare you? These are the thoughts that are going in my head, not what came out of my mouth. But it's like, you have no idea who you're dealing with, sister. I've got 1,000,000 miles on 3 different airlines. This flight cost me $11.20 because I used points. I got so many points, and I'm thinking, I'm the expert, right? I know all about flights. How dare you do this to me? So I gave her my bag, reluctantly, to say the least. And so I sit down, I get my seat, I sit down, and I am mumbling. Do you ever mumble to yourself? I know what I'm going to do. So I got up, and I got my camera out, and I started taking pictures of the open overhead spaces. So I had proof, so I could send in a comment with documentation that says this was unfair to me. And I'm mulling, how can I get her? I want to know her badge number. I'm going to get her. And God whispers in my ear, do you have any idea what kind of day she might have had? Would you want to be a flight attendant? I was like, no. I don't deal with the public? Are you out of your mind? You've seen the videos of people who go nuts on airlines? No, I don't want this. Maybe she's had a bad day. Maybe she's had a bad week. Have you thought about the fact that she's made in the image of God and that Christ died for her? I failed. I failed. I didn't just fail. I failed miserably. Yes. But that's not the point. The point is that my rights were violated. And that's the whole point. I said they were my rights. When we give ourselves, if you've ever given yourself to Jesus Christ for him to take the pain and the loss of your sin and redeem you, to buy you back, to make you his child, it's given freely, right? We are saved by grace through faith alone. It is not by works, and we can't boast. So it's free, right? It's free on one hand, but on the other hand, it costs us everything because we give up our rights. We say, you're the Lord, you're the boss, I'm going to follow you. So, in my seat, I say, be merciful to me, a sinner. Because I had failed. I not only didn't do the wise thing, I didn't do the loving thing. I connected up with her later in the flight and I asked her forgiveness. We're all in need of it. We're all in need of this mercy, this compassion. It's nothing we're going to earn because we didn't earn God's love. He chose to love us and the people around us. He chose to send Christ for us, and he looks on you as what? Precious. He says, you are precious. You are made in my image. You are someone worth dying for. You are someone who is made in the image of Christ. There's a quote that I looked up during the sermon. It says, when you look at other people, do not consider their evil intentions, but look upon the image of God in them, which cancels and overshadows their transgressions, and with its beauty and dignity allures us to love and embrace them. When she said that, I should have thought she's someone made in the image of God. And I'm going to assume that her desires, her attitude is one of help, because it would be the safe thing to do for the good of me and everybody else. But all I did was think about myself. There's another story. I was in Seattle once, and I bought a salmon, a fresh salmon. Packed it in ice. And I had so much stuff that I couldn't take it on the plane. So I did the unthinkable. I checked it. Land. No luggage and no salmon. Go to my car, come home, I'm assured, oh, we'll find it. We'll find it. They did find it. A day and a half later, at 1:37 in the morning, our phone rings. I wake up, get the phone. "Hi, this is the airline. We have your luggage." It's like, "Well, that's terrific. I'll be down to the airport." "No, no, no. We're sitting outside of your house. We want to deliver it to you." I thought, "Well, okay." And Marianne looks at me and says, "I'm not eating that salmon." Because I had told her the story. I'd borne my soul. So I go out, I get dressed and pick it up. And I was like, "Okay, I got the salmon. It's not cold. It's cool." So I throw it in the refrigerator, and I did eat some of it, and I'm still here to prove it. But the reason that you say, "Why do you tell me that story?" I'll tell you why I tell you that story. Because I have a past that says I got burned. I should have gotten it, and it didn't happen the right way, and I could look back at that and say, "See, I have a right to be angry." You ever thought about that about yourself or somebody else? I have the right. I got burned. They took advantage of me, and now I am not going to be nice. I'm going to be stodgy. I'm going to put up my walls, and I'm not going to let anybody in. I've done that. Maybe I'm still doing it. But God's grace says, "I looked at you, and I loved you, and I died for you, and one day we're going to spend eternity together. That's how much I love you." So God uses people just like you and me, even though we've got brokenness in our homes, brokenness in our pasts. And he says, that is not a reason not to do the wise thing, not to do the loving thing. Because after we have done horrendous, awful things to God, he still calls us what? His child. And is still welcoming us into eternity. That's our wise and loving God, who loves us so much. Would you pray with me? Our Father and our God, I thank you that you are kind, you are good, and your love endures forever. Your wisdom is high and mighty, and that you, in your wisdom, love to use the weak things of this world. That's us. To use the insignificant people. That's us. To use the broken people of this world. I know that's me. For your glory, to show yourself strong, to show your wisdom and your love. Use us this week. May we be your people who walk along with you. And let people see that. In Jesus' name, amen. Yes?
I wanted to say one thing. I feel blessed to have you as a teacher. You do a great job. You make me think of a lot of things like you did today and you do every week. And I just want to thank you for being our teacher here.
You're welcome, Rich. Thank you. It's my honor. And the fact, and I've got 2 more slides. There's always 2 more. Right? These prove, this is evidence that demands a verdict. That God uses people like me, even after I screw up with my luggage. Later on in the week, I get a notice that an article's been picked up, been republished by church leaders. I know, by Ched, who'd have thunk it? And here comes the one that I just am totally blown away by. I now have a video studio. You got lights and screens and teleprompters and cameras and microphone. And last Sunday when I went home, my office looked like this. My office didn't look like this before. There was another desk in there. And I walk in. What's my desk doing in the dining room? Our son had reconfigured the room, bought this, and put it in. He has more faith in me than I have in myself. So I'm humbled that God would even use people like us. I mean, you know me. I'm nothing special. I'm just like you. But God wants to use people just like us in really, really, really significant ways. God bless you. You are loved beyond measure by God and by us. You have a great week. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye. That's a different question. The answer is yes, I do. Thank you.